Watch and burn.
Hey everyone, so tonight I wanted to discuss something. I can't make up my mind what that is. I was either going to discuss the Give 'Em the Boot movie by Tim Armstrong, or I was going to discuss the Warp Music Videos DVD that they released back in the mid-2000s. I can't seem to make up my mind. My gut is saying I should talk about Give 'Em the Boot, so that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm lost. I don't know what's going on. I had done a few of these tonight. Everything was falling into place. And then I decided to discuss the Rancid DVD release for the music videos from 1993 to 2003. My tongue started to get tied. I wasn't able to talk. It was all blah, blah, blah. And now I feel like I'm lost in a haze. And yes, I'll talk about Give 'Em the Boot. So this is a road movie that was done by Tim Armstrong. It was back, I believe, sometime in the early 2000s. I have it here. I don't want to pull it out because, as you can see, I've got this annoying motherfucker here. That's Part 6 Jason. Part 6 Jason lives to fuck with me. Every time he falls, he drops his goddamn spear, and it's this big event to get it put back in because if his hand isn't turned up exactly right, the spear keeps sliding up and down, and it's really frustrating. We got little Jason on there, and his grave from Part 6 as well. And if this even gets touched just a little, like, I don't know if you can see that. I'm barely touching it, and he's fucking wobbling. I don't know, like I said, if you can see that. But he loves to fuck with me. And I hate him. His head's broken off. I've had to glue the fucking thing back in place. His face looks really cool under the mask, and the cute little mask. I love how little and cute the mask is. That is fantastic. But that toy is frustrating as hell. That's right. I was discussing Give 'Em the Boot. So I think what I love about this is sort of like a Hellcat time capsule. A Hellcat Records time capsule. For people that don't know, that is Armstrong's label. It's a long-running label. It is a sub-label of Epitaph Records, by which Rancid, of course, is signed to. And at this point, it's like I said, it's a snapshot of all the bands, and there were a ton of bands on Hellcat at this point. The Necromantics were on there, the Horror Pops were on there, Tiger Army was there, F- was on there, US Bombs were signed to Hellcat, some band called Rancid. They didn't do very well because they weren't the best. They were signed to Hellcat. You got Fredrickson's solo ventures, The Bastards. Both those albums were on Hellcat. And you get to see each of these bands perform a song or so. Of course, the focus here is Rancid. Rancid, you see more Rancid footage than you do with the rest of the bands, but that makes perfect sense because Rancid's like fucking everyone's favorite. But I do love how you get to see like early 2000s Tiger Army and the F- and the US Bombs. And I love how like they're all sort of spliced together and there's like a real sense of family here, which I know Hellcat was really known for, was for like fostering real relationships with the bands that they had signed. I know that didn't always hold because I know things with Leftover Crack sort of went south when Leftover Crack wanted to call Mediocre Generica Shoot the Kids at School, and Hellcat wasn't cool with that because Columbine had just taken place, and Leftover Crack, being the fucking edgelords that they are, got very upset about that, and so that's why they decided to call the record Mediocre Generica in response to Hellcat frowning on their decision to title the record after a school shooting. Which I get and I don't get. I mean, on one hand, I can see like how it's kind of cool to throw it all back in America's face. But then on the flip side of that coin, the guys in Leftover Crack kind of get on my nerves sometimes because they tend to take their opinions of themselves and their politics too seriously. Like they have this like inflated sense of self-worth because they're more political than you and me. And I hate it when bands put such emphasis on politics because I mean, I haven't seen the guys in Leftover Crack achieve anything, politically speaking, with all of their diatribes and the ranting. I haven't seen anything change as the result of it. And so for them to act like, oh, we're so far out and we're so fucking hardcore that we want to throw a recent school shooting back in the face of Americans everywhere. It fits, but it doesn't fit because it feels more self-serving than it does honest, and I just don't love that. Now, saying that, I do really like Leftover Crack, but I've just never liked the political aspects of Leftover Crack because I've always had a hard time buying it because it just never felt genuine. Like, it's like they wanted to be crass, but they were never going to be crass, or they wanted to be like Jello Biafra, but they were never going to be Jello Biafra. And even with bands like the Kennedys and Crass, they never really managed to achieve much, politically speaking. All they were really good at was identifying the problem. I mean, Biafra excelled at identifying the problem, but nothing ever really came from it. I mean, it helped fans sort of focus on educating themselves and taking things like school more seriously and paying attention to the politics around them and in their communities. And that's cool. But overall, these bands never really did much. And Biafra's a full-on genius. Like, his mixture of fact and satire it's second to none. I mean, Jello's like brilliant. But I always found that the guys in Leftover Crack sort of got on my nerves, and I never really bought their whole political stance thing. I always felt that they would have been better suited as just a party band. But, what can you do, right? It just feels like they're leaning left because they think they should. I don't believe anything they say. It's like it lacks heart. Now, maybe it's just me. I know Leftover Crack has a lot of fans, and if they see this, they probably won't appreciate that. But I don't care. I never bought a word of their political nonsense. But nonetheless, this DVD is a lot of fun. It's like I said, there's a real sense of family. There's a sense of community here. You see all the bands on the road. And I love how there's a big focus on Joe Strummer, who unfortunately passes away throughout the recording of all of this. And it's cool and really touching to see how that is framed with the mural being painted on the wall and everybody who sort of shows up to the place where the mural was painted sort of as a tribute to him. Steve Buscemi shows up. The guys from Rancid are there. A billion other bands show up, of course, because it's Joe Strummer from The Clash. He was a cool guy, and he was really important. And his contribution to the history of music overall, not just punk rock, but music in general, has been massive. And so it's a shame that he passed away so unexpectedly too, and so young. And I did really like the way that this handled it, and the way that, like I said, it framed that. I thought it was done with a lot of compassion and a lot of care. And I know that that's probably has a lot to do with the fact that Tim has been in love with The Clash his whole life, and it most likely hit him like a fucking freight train when Strummer died. But nonetheless, I did like the way it was handled. I do like how the focus is, of course, on Rancid. I like how Davey Havok from AFI shows up at the end performance for radio. That was amazing. Davey Havok has an awesome voice in AFI, kick ass. And I love this DVD. It feels honest. It feels pure. I like how Iggy Pop shows up for a jam session with the guys in Rancid, and it looks like a backstage at a concert somewhere. And I like how that just sort of bounces in here and there, and how this DVD, although it has a sense of togetherness, there's also that sort of frenetic sense of chaos because it's bouncing all over to these various different bands playing different shows at different places, all from roughly the same period. And even though there is that sense of togetherness, at the same time, it does kind of feel like, holy shit, they sent cameras everywhere to catch everything they possibly could. So I love this DVD. I love how it comes with a poster. I love how it's a feature-length release as well. It's not 50 minutes. It's like a full hour and a half. I love the music. I love the bands. I mean, the Necromantics are on here. Like I said, the Horror Pops, and I love them. They're on here. And this is a really worthwhile DVD that you could probably track down really cheap somewhere. And you probably should, because like I said, it kicks ass. So I'm going to go. This is pushing 10 minutes because of my rant about Leftover Crack in the middle there. If you like this DVD or you liked this review, don't forget to do something nice for somebody. If you think I'm completely wrong about Leftover Crack, don't forget to let me know in the comments, even though I will completely disagree with you because I don't buy their bullshit. And yeah, I'm going to go. So thank you so much. Have a good night. I just wanted to say thank you for making it through the entire video. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to remind everyone one more time, even though I've probably already done this in the video that you just watched, to please click the like button as well as the subscribe button because it helps this channel grow. And thank you for hitting like and subscribe, and we will see you guys really soon.